ask you guys a real quick question. Are movies giving me a misconception about kids and parenting? So most movies I'll watch when you're talking about teens or kids, at some point or another, and I can't remember what I was watching. Oh, I was watching Mobland the other day. And one of the teenagers is upset with what's going on in the family, says something really nasty to her dad, like throws like the F you maybe at him, or I hate you at him. And she's having like this emotional breakdown and yelling at him, right? And it feels to me like a lot of movies that I watch have this kind of interaction where a teen snaps, yells at their parents. Parents are having a screaming match back at them. So as I was making a post on Instagram yesterday, I realized that I have never had this situation, never, with either one of my kids. They have never been disrespectful to me or my ex-wife, their mom. We've never had a shouting match. They've never called me a bad name and then slammed the door and then walked into their room. And I'm really curious, did you guys ever have that when you were kids with your parents, or am I in a very unusual situation?
Well, yeah, that never happened when I was a teenager.
Okay.
No, there was never a screaming match. I never disrespected my parents in that manner. That wouldn't fly in my household.
Right. I was scared of my dad. I didn't realize at the time he was like 4'11", but I was 2'6".
Absolutely not.
No,
but
right?
No, my parents didn't play that. You would have been out of a home. To be honest, growing up black, we always thought that was something that only happened in white households. Like, we always thought that. Like, that would only fly. Like, my white friends would be able to do that, but we could never.
I'd never seen it. It never happened in our house. I don't know if it happens with, like, any of Hollis's friends or anything like that, but it seems like it's so forced down your throat in movies that I was thinking yesterday,
the disrespectful teens screaming at their parents and saying god-awful things.
Yeah, and then the parents just, like, either absorbing it or just the kid runs upstairs and dad just goes, "Oh, that's our kid, man." And I'm like, "You out of your mind."
Oh, it absolutely happened in my household.
It did.
But to me, it's like the argument of, like, when women say their ex-boyfriend is crazy and people are like, okay, well, you must be the crazy one. It's sort of like, what did that ex do to make you crazy? You know what I mean? Like, some people's parents didn't like them, Bert,
That is not true. That is not true. But it's such an emotional time for kids anyway, and you got hormones going all over the place, so I can see how it can happen.
Is that why you were asking, Cassie, what the pituitary gland does? Or is that something completely off subject?
Completely outside. I just got some lab results back.
I was like, that question's now making sense.
No, completely different.
Gotcha.
All right, on the other side of the spectrum, Cassie is in a different stage of life with her kids.
Oh my God. So what I'm about to say next is so obvious sounding that 90% of parents listening will roll their eyes and 100% of non-parent people will roll their eyes at me. But step into my shoes. If you're a parent, take yourself back to when you had young kids. And if you're not a parent, well, just hang in there. So my daughter is 5, which means this fall she is entering kindergarten. It's a big deal. It's a real school. And that sounds dumb to say, but we went to kindergarten orientation and it's like a real school. So for context, she is in like a pre-K daycare now, right? 14 kids in the class, one classroom, or there are 2 classrooms for her age. That's it. The school we're going to has 9 classrooms just for kindergarten. It's got kids up to 5th grade. There are like over 1,000 kids in this school. Where I grew up in Louisiana, the way, it's interesting. In talking to Kristen, I just now realized it's not like this across the country. So where I grew up, like kindergarten was a separate school, a separate thing. Then you had like 1st through 3rd together in a school. And then 4th through 6th in a separate school. And then 7th and 8th in a separate school. And then 9th through 12th was high school. So to have my 5-year-old with 5th graders is tripping me out. And this is an important lesson for me because I think I am being forced into letting go and letting my daughter thrive as an independent child. But, we're talking to the principal, who is great, and she's saying, like, parents, yes, you can walk your kids to class the first couple of days. Like, they have to go in the school and, like, downstairs and walk around. And then she's like, on day 3, I'm going to be like, you can't come any further. And I was like, you're telling me no as a parent? Which I was like, good. I guess I needed to be told no. But I'm like, what do you mean my child's going to be walking to class by herself? What do you mean she can ride a school bus by herself? And it's just one of those things I think about being a parent that no one ever really prepares prepares you for is, your kid's going to go to school, they're going to get older, and you're ready for the milestones like walking, talking, the first time they eat. But no one really talks about the first time they're going to be going into school alone. And I don't mean like you dropping them off at daycare for the first time, because that's traumatic in and of itself for both of you. But when you drop your baby off and the principal's like, they got to be able to get out the car seat by themselves. And I'm like, well, we don't teach them how to do that. So they don't get out the car seat while we're mid-drive. But I'm like, okay, these are things my child should be able to do. And she cannot. So I'm behind as a parent. But it's like forcing you as a parent to acknowledge the fact that your baby is no longer a baby. And not only are they no longer a baby, you need to back off and let them like grow as an independent individual, which I'm all for. I just didn't expect it so soon. I was like 2nd grade, 3rd grade. That's when that happens. Until then, I'm going to be the one holding her hand, or her dad is taking her to the classroom. And it's like, nah, bro. And I just was not prepared for this so early, and I wasn't prepared for her to be going to a real school with a real schedule. She has to get there like an hour earlier than she does now, and lunch is like at 10:45 in the morning, which I remember doing when I was in high school. And I'm like, they still haven't fixed this yet? No one wants to eat lunch at 10:45 in the morning.
I'm telling you right now, parents are not rolling their eyes. Their eyes are welling up because they're going back to that time. So Jimmy is going to do pre-K at an elementary school, and we did the same orientation. We walked around, did the tour. There's like a real cafeteria with the little seats. And then you go into the auditorium, and then you're walking down the hallway, and there's actually like stairs they have to climb. And as you're taking, I got going into the library and how big the library is. And I was like looking around, like, because it takes you back to your days in elementary school, right?
The cinder blocks on the walls and the lines on the floor that you have to walk single file along. And I'm like, God, it feels like within 30 years, something should have changed.
But yeah, and of course, my husband thought I was crazy because he always thinks I'm crazy. I started to get a little choked up, like, because I'm like, this is like a real school.
Yes.
Like this is like a legit school. He's not old enough to be doing this.
They talk about kids' core memories, but this, as Kristen said, is a parent's core memory also. And all of us have had it, that when your kid gets out of the car, or the very first time they're going into school, and they're in that line with the other kids, and you're like waving at your kid, and he or she doesn't wave back. Like they're actually going and they're becoming independent. You never, ever, ever forget that moment.
And I mean, I'm so happy. Like, I want this for her. And don't get me wrong, I'm fully behind it. I'm fully supporting it. But I feel blindsided, and it makes me wonder what else is coming up.
Oh God. Okay.
You know what she dropped on me the other day? Let me sidebar for a second. She's way too young for this. She goes, Mom, I have a boyfriend. And I was like, how you do? Who is he?
You're never leaving the house. As a guy that's way ahead of you on this whole thing, I got one that's graduating from high school and the other one graduating from college. You don't know this now, but these moments are going to happen their entire lives. I'm struggling with Hollis leaving high school right now and going to college. And there have been 100 of them, 200 of them between what you're going through and what I'm going through right now. It never goes away. Driving, going to high school for the first time, going to junior high, it never goes away.
My God, it's like you only have 18 summers with them or something.
The Bert Show.